Hi, welcome back to Daily Diva Glam. Today's video is definitely going to be something different from what you guys are probably used to on my channel. Today is not a beauty video. Today I'm just going to talk to you guys about a real issue that's going on in the world, and that's also going on in my life that I would like to share with you guys. Yeah, so as you guys can see from the title, it's about anxiety and how to cope with it. And it's just kind of weird to like talk about it. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, and I think that's the problem, and that's why a lot of people struggle harder with the anxiety disorder, because no one wants to talk about it. And I just recently learned that, you know what, it's okay to talk about it. We all go through things in life, and anxiety is just something that, if you are going through it, it's something that you're going through right now, but I promise you, you will overcome it. Oh wow, you will definitely overcome it. I just want to give a little background of my story and what anxiety means to me and what happened to me with anxiety. So basically, I started suffering from anxiety when I was 14 years old, and it really, I think that I probably always had anxiety all my life, because I actually, as a baby, I was like a mute baby, if that makes any sense. Like, I didn't speak up until 3 years old, so I think I was always like an anxious child, but it just came out within my teen years. And it was definitely very hard. It was something that I just couldn't explain what was going on, because a lot of times anxiety is something that it's just so general, because, and it's like your symptoms are everyday symptoms. Like, the symptoms can range from like your heart racing to heaviness on your chest. Like the symptoms, the list is like endless, and it goes on and on and on. And yeah, I just remember like struggling through it. I mean, there was times I just couldn't explain to people what was going on. And I think that was like the hardest part, because I was dealing with something, and I would have, first it started off with like panic attacks, and I would just panic like out of nowhere. I couldn't explain what's wrong, like what was my trigger. I just know that I was just scared and nervous just because. Yeah, I remember a time that when I was 14, I had to go to the hospital because my heart rate was, racing, and I thought something was wrong with me. And that's the thing with anxiety that people don't understand. It's like you feel like you're having a heart attack. You feel like it's the worst thing. You feel like you're about to die. It's just the worst feeling in the world to go through. So I went to the hospital, and these symptoms, you really feel them. You know what I mean? It's just like, I remember being in the hospital, like I said, and my heart rate being 140. Your heart rate's supposed to be from 60 to 80. And they're looking at me thinking that I'm having a heart attack. But, it was anxiety, At that point, it was like panic attacks. Then I've had like several hospital visits. I've been to the doctor several times about it, thinking something was wrong with me. I have had so much workup done on my heart. For people that are twice my age, I've had a stress test at 20. I mean, it's just, it's a hard thing to go through. Another thing I remember, I couldn't go outside. Like, I wouldn't walk outside for anything. Like, I just would not go outside, and I just couldn't explain why. What was it about outside? I don't know. It was just my trigger. Or crowds. I can't, even to this day, I still suffer from anxiety. I mean, I've had it. It's now mild, because I'm now 22. And at the time I was 14. So it just went from like panic to severe anxiety to now I still suffer like day to day, but it's not as bad. Like, I'm able to function a little better. Even through high school, I couldn't function like a normal student. I remember like just having to leave the class because I just couldn't sit in the class. Like, while you're going through an anxiety attack, it's like the world is like kind of crashing in, and it's just a horrible feeling. And to be honest, the best way to explain anxiety, I think, is we all go through a little bit of anxiety in our life at some point. Whether whatever you're afraid of, that feeling that you're getting, whether it's your heart racing, you're like, your thoughts are everywhere, you're sweating, that is what. So that's what it feels like. It's like like that's what people who suffer severely from anxiety, that's what it's like. And this is our day-to-day life that we're dealing with this. It's not when we're in a situation like we don't like height, you know, like when we're like standing over a building and we're afraid of heights and we can't jump. I mean, it's like that feeling that someone who doesn't suffer, that's what we go through every single day. And it was hard dealing with, as far as, you know, people didn't understand what was going on. Like, I couldn't explain to my friends and my family how I was suffering. Like, I would just have panic attacks. I would have to breathe in a bag at some point, and I just couldn't explain what was happening to me. And a lot of people don't. I'm sorry, I'm getting like a little. Some people don't understand what it is, and you know, what we go through and how hard it is to deal with it, and just that horrible feeling. It's too much for anyone to deal with. And you know, also to this day, I don't take elevators, and I have like this real fear with elevators, just thinking of the worst case scenario of what's gonna happen to me. So, you know, it's hard with my family or friends when I'm like, I don't want to take the elevator, and people look at you and they're like, what's wrong with you? Why you don't want to take the elevator? Why you don't want to do this? Or why you can't do this? I can't explain that. I can't explain why, you know, my anxiety won't allow me to do things. It's just, that's just how it is. You know, I can't do it. But it's just like so hard to, again, like I said, explain to people of what's going on, because a lot of times people are looking at you like something's wrong with you. And a lot of times you feel like something's wrong with you, and you feel like there's no way out. I remember feeling, again, remember I said it started at 14, so I'm 22 now, so that's 7 years that I've been suffering with anxiety. And at the beginning, you couldn't tell me anything. You couldn't tell me everything was going to be alright. There was nothing anyone can tell me, because at that moment, nothing was alright. Nothing's alright. And for someone who's going through it at home, or anyone out there that's going through it, I just wanted to let you know from my personal experience that I know it's hard to say everything's. I've learned later on through my anxiety that, you know what, you just think back, like, now that I'm able to go outside and I'm able to do those things that I never thought I could do, and just remain hopeful, keep your faith and believe that, you know what, someday you'll get over it. I know that with me, with anxiety, a lot of times, me being in the present moment, I would need distraction or try to find ways just to get out of that, like get out of that feeling. And distraction is definitely one way to help with anxiety, just like whatever that means. You know, I remember sometimes when I go to events and stuff and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't go. I know my anxiety is going to be bad. And when I'm forced in the situation, it's like, okay, I go. And then I realize it really wasn't as bad as I think. Remember, anxiety is something that we create in our head. Not that we create anxiety, but we create the things that are happening. It's all in our head. Like our mind, I mean, in a sense of our mind is very powerful. And if you can, in a sense, work with your mind, I don't know if I'm making sense, if you can kind of work with your mind, being that it's so powerful. Like, there's times that, you know what, I said, you know what, Asia, it happened before, you went through this before, and you were okay. And sometimes you have to do that self-talk, because it helps through it, you know, it helps you get through it. But another thing that I will say, and I don't recommend that this is the first thing you go to. It took me 5 years of me dealing with anxiety that I finally decided, you know what? I need a normal life. There's many times doctors have said to me, why don't you try medication? Therapists have said to me, why don't you try medication? I'm just like, no, because I feel like psych medication is just like something you have to be careful with, which is true. But I just didn't want to do it for 5 years. I'm like stubborn, like, no. Whatever I have to do. I've done yoga. I've done everything that you can list to try to get over this anxiety, but nothing really worked. So I did. after 5 years, I did decide that I was going to take medicine. And what I will say, because I'm on a medication now, that it's actually you take it as needed, so it's not something I have to take every day, which I like, because sometimes just knowing that it's there in my purse, I'm just like, okay, I'm okay, or I feel a little better with myself because I know it's there. But don't get me wrong, if I don't have that medication in my purse, I'm just like, oh my goodness, no. If I have an anxiety attack, what's gonna happen? So what I will say is, do everything out there that's possible to get through this thing, and you will get through it. But definitely try to work through it. And if all doesn't work out, if you need to take medication, you just have to do what you have to do. I mean, like I said, for 5 years I just said no, but I wanted a normal life. I wanted to be able to go to school, to be able to work that I couldn't do what the normal people do in life. So, and that's another thing with anxiety that's so hard, because you don't feel, a lot of times you don't feel normal. You don't feel like a normal person, because people don't go through this on their day-to-day life. But for us, it's like the hardest thing you can go through. I really promise you that this is something I've been struggling with through so many years now, and I'm just so excited that I can now talk about it with people, and maybe someone's going through it at home. And yeah, I'm sorry that my video is all over the place, but it's just I can go on and on about anxiety because I've dealt with it, and it's just not easy. It's not something that's easy. So if you have a family member or a friend who's going through it, I hope this video has helped you guys a little bit to understand what a person goes through. And just the best thing is support, and to be there for someone. That's the best thing you can do through anxiety. And a lot of times you won't understand what's going on. You don't understand why they can't do this and why they can't do that. And it might sound outlandish to you, but it's our life. And these are things that we're going through. I mean, we all go through things. I remember I've had situations where I had an ex-boyfriend that, like I said, I had an issue with being outside and I couldn't explain it. And he just was so whatever about it, so not understanding. And you are going to find people like that in your life that just don't understand and might say harsh things or might not care. But you know what? It's fine, because they don't understand what you're going through. And just don't worry about what people say and what people think about you, because you are a normal person. You're not different. You're the same person as they are. They're going through something else themselves. Your thing just happens to be anxiety, just like mine. And like I said, don't forget, guys, you will overcome it. I think I probably said this 1,000 times in the video, but because I want you guys really to believe that, because I didn't believe that. I didn't believe that. When I first started suffering, I was just like, this is it. This is my life. I'm always going to have severe anxiety. I'm never going to be able to do anything in my life because of it. There's things in my life that it has affected. I couldn't, when I started college, after I got through high school, because I did get through high school, thank God, because in my town or my state, they had a school that kind of specializes in people that are dealing with things. So I was able to get through it, thank God. But when I went to college, it was just so hard. I just sitting in the classroom for hours. I used to have to get up and leave because my anxiety would be too overbearing that I just had to get out. And I would leave in the middle of the class. I didn't attend my classes because of my anxiety. I couldn't get on I live in New York. I couldn't get on a bus to get to my classes. There's times that like I said, college, it was hard for me. I had to I had no choice but to take online classes. And as we all know, online classes are hard, but because of my anxiety, I kept telling myself, this is the only way I'm going to do it. But you know something? I actually did not succeed in online classes. It didn't work out for me. So now I'm glad. Again, I went to high school. I went to college after high school, and I still am nowhere where I would want to be in college. But, I'm still pushing through it. taking it a day at a time and realizing that, you know, like now that things have gotten better, like I said, now I'm on medication that I just take when I need it. Like I just take it when I'm starting to feel anxious, or if I know I'm going to be in a situation that I might feel anxious, I'll just take it. And it takes like probably like a half an hour to an hour to work. And then literally the medication, you feel like at the beginning you're like a little drowsy sometimes. Like that's just the effect of the medicine, but you also have to take it with food. And when they say that, they really mean it, because it takes effect differently. Like if I don't take it with food, I'm feeling way, like, how can I say, like drowsier than I would if I took it with food. But it really does take the worry off. That's what it does. It takes the worry off, but you still have the underlying problem, so you definitely should still work on overcoming anxiety. Work on like getting through it, because anxiety, the anxiety medication is really just a temporary thing. But when that medicine wears down and wears off, it's back to anxiety for me. So it's just something that I'm just slowly getting through. But you know, sometimes it's a setback, but you keep going, you keep pushing. Like I said, I've been pushing through college, and it's really hard. And it's really been really hard online, but to the point that now that my anxiety is mild, I'm able to, like, that it calmed down, and I take medication. Now I'm making a decision next semester to sit in the classes again, and I'm super excited for that, because I don't know, it's just something different. Like I said, I'm just used to the online classes, and I'm not doing well with it. So I'm super excited to now go and sit and be among people. Sometimes you need that as well with coping and getting through your anxiety. But yeah, just to let you guys know, like, you guys are not alone. I am here and I'm going through it. So it happens, but that's not what defines your life, and this is not it. This is not it. You just have to get over it and find ways to get through it. It's going to be a struggle. Like I said, it's 7 years later and I'm still dealing with it. But I am a lot better than I was 7 years ago, so I am happy about that. So yeah, what else is it? There was also times that my mom couldn't, like, I would just like panic in front of her, and she just didn't know what to do. I remember her like struggling through that, just not knowing how to help me, because sometimes you don't know what to do. But again, all you can do is just be supportive and be there for someone, and just try to talk them through what they're going through. And you know, distraction works as well. And yeah, it's just something you go through, but you get through it. I mean, I've had people that were understanding in my life, and I had people that didn't understand. You're just gonna get that. But yeah, a lot of times, like, how I felt with my anxiety is my heart racing. I felt heaviness on my chest. Sometimes I felt like things weren't real, and I cannot explain that. I know, like, saying that to you guys, you're like, what are you talking about? But literally, that's how I felt. I felt like I was just like in like a dream. It just felt so unreal to me, life. And then I would have those moments, and I'm like, oh my goodness, freaking out, like, oh my goodness, what to do? I'm like crying, and like I just couldn't explain it. I couldn't tell you what's going on. All I knew is that I was going through something. And like I said, I had one of those days that I said, Asia, you're not going to suffer no more. You're not going to suffer no more. Even if it took medication, which sounds crazy to me, because like I said, 7 years ago, or when I was dealing with it a couple of years ago, medication wasn't on my mind. I didn't want nothing to do with it. I'm like, yeah, right, I'm not doing that. But you know something? I decided I wanted to live a normal life, and if it took medication, it takes medication. Sometimes, like I said, you have to do what you have to do. There's people with heart conditions and diabetes that have to take medication. They don't have a choice. So, but luckily you do have a choice, and I would say try everything possible before you resort to medication. So at least you can say, I've tried it all and it's not working out for me. And just medication, you try it out. If it doesn't work for you, move on. You know, if this medication doesn't work, that medication, move on. But it's definitely a trial and error, and it's worth it. It's worth it. It's definitely, like I said, I remember getting to the point where I was like, you know what? I'll try anything just to not feel how I was feeling day to day. I mean, I remember when I got my car for the first time, I couldn't drive. I couldn't drive. If I drove, I didn't drive alone. All my friends and family and people who know me, I was always like, please come with me, come with me. I would not drive alone. It was to the point where I wouldn't drive at all. I would just ask my friends and family to drive. It's like so amazing because I wouldn't have thought ever that I would share my story with people, because I just thought it was just like embarrassing. But you know, sometimes you just, you know, have to, that's a healing process. It's to be able to talk to people that are suffering, because you're not alone. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of people in this world that are going through the same exact thing. So guys, please, I would love to hear your stories in my comments. I will definitely respond to you guys, because like I said, there's a lot of people going through this, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And I'll be the first one to talk about it, because I've lived through it, and I'm still struggling through it. But you know what? I'll be okay. I will be okay, and you will be okay. So just remember, guys, to definitely, like I said, be of support to people that are suffering like I am. Like, we really do need support, and we need people there. There's many times that I've had situations that I thank God that I've had the people in my life that I did that actually understood, like my boyfriend, and you know, people that did understand what I was going through. Even if sometimes you don't fully understand, because you might not, because you're not suffering. But do your research and just realize that sometimes, even though you may not understand what someone's going through, just know that they're going through it, or they're going through something, and just be of support. That's all you can do. That's really all you can do. I hope that some point that this video was of help to anyone out there who's suffering like I am. And like I said, you will get through it. Definitely self-talk is a good way. Distraction's a good way. And like I said, if you have to resort to medication, sometimes we just have to do what we have to do to be okay, to feel okay. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I hope that either it helps someone who's going through it, or someone who's trying to understand and trying to be there for someone else who's suffering through it. And again, remember that you guys will overcome it. I'm living proof that you guys can get through it. Like I said, I've been suffering for 7 years, and from today, 7 years ago, I would never think that I would be here where I'm able to function a little better in life, because before then I just never thought I would get over it. I thought it would just never be a day that I can face life. But you know what? The day is here. And thank you guys again so much for watching and listening to my story. Love you guys. Bye. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe.